Thank you for tuning in to another Municipal Focus. This so happens to be a special series that we're doing. It's called the Candidates 2020 series. It's an opportunity for us to be able to speak with the candidates, but it also helps you, the viewer, as you know, with COVID-19, with the global pandemic, we candidates are not able to get out and greet and speak to the voters in person because we're practicing this thing that's called social distancing. So this offers an opportunity not only to the candidate, a chance to be able to kind of talk about the different issues and why they're running, but it also helps inform you as the voter at home as you head out to the polls later on this month. But joining me today is a gentleman who is seeking your vote as he is running for school committee for the Whitman Hanson Regional School Committee. And he's up for what he's looking for a vote for one of the two seats that are going to be up for grabs. We have Mr. Randy Hill, who is joining us. Randy, welcome to the conversation, sir.
Thank you very much, Kevin. It's good to be here.
For those who may or may not know you, who might be new to local town government, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Randy Hill. I'm a lifelong resident of Whitman. I was born here, and I am the third generation of Whitman residents. My fiance, Rosemary, and I bought a home here 2 years ago, and I'm looking to fulfill our life here in this wonderful town. We have two children who are both in the school system. One is to be a senior, and the other is going to be in 8th grade. And we absolutely love it here and are looking to make it a little bit better place.
Okay. Tell us, why are you running for school committee? What is the attraction to want to run for office and be a member of the school committee?
Well, I believe that the children are our priority in this world, and that the better our school system is, the better our town is. And I think encouraging our students to become much better people, and we can learn from them, and we can all grow together. And that's why I'm running for school committee.
Okay. I think, well, one of the, just me as an outsider, somebody who observes and what goes on when it comes to municipal government, when it comes to folks running for certain committees and boards, my thought is that the main issue, one of the top issues, is the school budget and the assessment, the funding mechanism. If you will, kind of talk to me about what is your understanding of the situation currently as it is?
Well, the situation currently is not that good, to be honest with you. We're looking at a 1/12 budget, which is not good at all. It means both towns have failed to come up with something, and unfortunately, the schools will be the one to pay most of the price. And I think a lot of the times I want to be a voice for the schools, because I think that anytime there's cuts to be had in the town's budget, it seems to come out of the schools, which does have the biggest budget, but all the cuts seem to go to the school first. And what I want to be a voice to stand up for the schools and to say, hold on a second, guys, we need to invest, if not take away, we need to invest more into the schools. And the budget, unfortunately, doesn't do that. And we're looking at an even more dire situation with the 1/12 budget.
Yeah, that is going to be a major factor, knowing that there are a lot of unknowns when it comes to will both towns have a town meeting? Will they have to operate on a 1/12 budget until they do hold a town meeting? And once the state of Massachusetts puts forth a budget, because the state of Massachusetts has not yet put together a 2021 budget themselves. So yeah, I think the finances is a big key. What are your concerns in regards to heading into town meeting? Do you feel that the town is going to be on board with the decision that's been made in regards to going with the statutory method this year for funding it?
Yes, I think the pulse is that the town is going to go for the statutory method. I think so, and all that I want is a budget that is kind of working its way through now that would bring on 4 more teachers, and that would be a compromise between the two towns. But I can understand why Whitman wouldn't want to compromise, because unfortunately Hanson is still dragging their feet on their own budget, and by having town meeting after July 1st, when the school budget has to be into the state, is just really leaves, it's confusing, and it leaves Whitman with very little choices.
Now, I know that because of this disagreement in the method as to how the school assessment, how the school assesses each town annually, there have been whispers that maybe both communities should look into deregionalizing, and Whitman form its own school committee and build its own high school, or maybe make the proposed middle school a middle high school, and of course Hanson do their own. They'll take over the high school that is currently occupied. What are your thoughts in regards to deregionalizing? Do you feel that Whitman would be able to afford it?
No, I don't think Whitman could and would want to afford it. I think I like the regionalization of the two towns. I mean, it's worked for 100 years and more, and just because we're having a bump in the road is no need to talk about deregionalization. And I know that Hanson has talked about it because they're the ones who are going to have to pay more. And I just don't think, if they can't afford the statutory, I don't see how they can afford their own school system. But no, I am not for the regionalization.
Up until COVID-19, up until this global pandemic, if it was business as usual, late last year, Governor Baker signed into law almost an update to the Reform Act, the Educational Reform Act of 1993, which is the Student Opportunity Act. What's your understanding as to what Whitman and Hanson might have received that would have helped the school district? And do you feel that there's anything that can be done on the state level to help the school district financially during this crisis?
Well, on the state level, I believe they are funding very well now. Over, I believe it's 55% of our budget now is funded by the state. And to ask them, we're asking our fellow town, Hanson, to pay more. And they receive their money from the state too. And I don't know, we have to make this work together. And I think what the state is providing us now is good enough.
If you are elected come June 27th to the regional school committee, what are some of the initiatives that you would hope to lead? While funding is probably a main item, I'm sure that there are other things that the school district needs that you feel should have a voice.
Well, I would like to see all day kindergarten come to town, and I believe it's only one of three school districts that does not have all day kindergarten, and I would definitely want to push for that, because just in the state alone, our kids are getting left behind at such an early age. Like, let's keep up with the rest of the state and the rest of the country as far as that goes. And then another initiative I'd like to propose is, and I know it's been talked about, is moving up the start time. Start an open communication with the superintendent on moving back the start times, especially for the high school students, to maybe 8 or 8:30. And I'd like to see how that goes, because I feel that high school students will learn better with a later start.
Hasn't there been a study done in regards to that as well, as far as the start time can have a drastic effect on a student's ability to learn and to be able to be engaged fully?
Oh, yes. And that's why I know in California they have implemented this, and it just shows that the high school students should have around 10 hours of sleep. And as having a high schooler, we know that their sleep patterns are off. They stay up late and have to get up real early. So the more that they can rest and get more sleep, then the better they'll be learning. It shows that their minds really don't get going until 10 in the morning. So, having them start at 7 now is not that good.
I'd have to say, with some of the adults that I've worked with over the years, I think that adults usually, their minds don't get started at 10 o'clock in the morning, at least the first
Right.
anyways. Um, have you had a chance to, while it's been really difficult to be able to have one-on-one conversations or be able to go to gatherings with people, have you had a chance to speak with voters or engage with voters, whether it's on social media or phone banking, to kind of get an idea as to what their concerns are with the school district?
No, unfortunately, I haven't. The situation now has been very difficult for that to happen. But yes, I know about the inner workings more than what the folks know. Because my partner Rosemary is a member of the finance committee, so I kind of have an insight of what's going on in the finance and in the selectmen. So yeah, it has proven difficult to have outreach.
Okay. What do you feel are some of the other issues other than funding and finances, and maybe the lack of teachers or support for those classrooms? What are some of the other issues that you're aware of, or that you've done research on, and that you're concerned about?
Well, I'm also concerned about the having Chromebooks for students. I know that comes on the finances, but we have, 300 for roughly about 1,200 students. So I'd like to see a big increase in the Chromebook area for the high school students, especially.
It's interesting that you say that, because knowing that none of us saw COVID-19 coming, none of us thought that we would see a global pandemic. The thought here is that, if anything, would you say that the pandemic has taught us that maybe we need to be better prepared, and and having a third or a quarter of the Chromebooks for what you have per pupil has kind of taught us something?
Oh yes, definitely. We this is the way it seems now that the way schools are going to have to prepare in the future is to have virtual classrooms, and it will be easier for students to keep up with learning by, for sick days, they can, go online and check. The teachers can have programs that are for the day or for the week, so that way no one will get left behind if they happen to miss school. In this case, where that is how we're doing all the teaching these days is over the internet. And so every child should have access to, not everyone has a computer at home. So, they can get them through the school.
The one thing that I would say is I know that there was a Prop 2.5 override a few years ago, and the whole premise of it was to update the technology in the school district. And instead of having the laptops, which you would have you'd have a system that was kind of the central nervous system, almost like the brains of it, that would be kept in IT, and then everything else would be a mirror for folks to be for students to be able to utilize. Is that something that, when it comes to technology, how important is technology? Do you feel that the school district has the proper amount of technology for our students to be able to be competitive in the real world, or does there need to be more investment?
Yes, definitely more investment in technology. I mean, this is, as this COVID-19 has proven, this is the way it's going. And who knows, especially at the beginning of the next year, maybe we have to do a week on, week off, or day on, day off. And the children should still be learning on when it's not their time to physically be at school. So they will need the technology to keep them going forward.
Okay. What do you feel as a candidate and a potential elected official, if you are successful on the 27th? What do you feel that you would bring to the school committee?
Well, I would bring a new set of eyes and a new perspective. Like I said, I want to bring my voice to the other, try to bring funding in and to stop the schools from being taken away from anytime there's a budget discussion. And that's what I really want to do, is be a strong voice and bring money in, hopefully. I mean, I know it's hard, and I'm sure everyone tries in the school system, but we can do better.
Okay. This is the point in the conversation where I give you an opportunity to touch upon something that maybe we haven't addressed during our conversation. So is there an issue or an item that you want to take a couple of minutes to point out and address and discuss?
Well, yes, I'd like to talk about the middle school. I know there's been discussions, and it's up for a vote this year or in a couple of weeks, that we do a feasibility study for a new middle school, which I hope passes, and because we definitely need a new middle school. We applied to the Mass School Building Authority for additional funding if we got accepted, and we got accepted on the first try, when usually it takes 3 or 4 times to be accepted into the study. So I hope the town invest in the feasibility study, and who knows, maybe we can get working on towards a new middle school.
Okay. Usually when we have candidates who are running for office, the one thing that the Whitman Hanson Community Access tries to do is just try to get all the candidates into a room, and it's the theater. It's everybody there. You have the moderators asking the questions, and you're kind of on the spot, and a lot of times it's live. But because of COVID-19, we're not going to be able to do that this year.
Yeah.
Would you be opposed to doing a candidates forum if it was done remotely, if it was done virtually like this on Zoom?
Oh yeah, I'll do it for sure.
Okay. If folks wanted to find out more about you or your campaign or your candidacy for school committee, how could they do that? Do you have a way for them to reach out and contact you?
Well, you can just look me up. I'm on Facebook, and I am on the Whitman Connect and on the Whitman Pride. Like I said, just friend me on Facebook and let's have a conversation.
Well, Randy, I want to thank you very much for being my guest for this segment, and I definitely wish you and all the candidates the best of luck in these tough and difficult times. These unprecedented times where to be a candidate running for office, it's not easy, and you and all your fellow candidates should be commended.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
You got it. And thank you at home for tuning into a program like this, whether you're watching on one of WHCA's channels, or if you are tuning in on social media or YouTube. The general purpose, as I stated at the opening of this program, is to better inform you. It's also to give a platform to the candidates like Randy and the others that are in the race for school committee, because it's not easy due to COVID-19 to get out and to congregate with other voters and talk about your platforms and hear what they have to say. So this is one of those avenues, and we hope that it helps you be better informed, especially when it comes time for you to go into the voting booth and make that decision. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, you've been watching Municipal Focus.